What's up YouTube, and welcome to another draw along with me, where today I'm going to show you how you can create this stained glass heart design. Now, as always, there's links to everything you're going to need in the description down below under the requirements section, where you'll find the canvas size and the palette. Now, the palette itself actually has two different sets of colors in it. You can go ahead and create this multicolored version like I have, or you could just create a sort of more monotoned colored version with a more red, pink and orange sort of set of colors, a bit more love themed if that's what you want to go for. Now, as always, make sure to tag me in your finished creations over on Instagram when you're done, and also come and join my community over on Discord. It's completely free to join, and it's a wonderful space that you can share your work, whether it's my tutorials, your own custom work, or you've followed another tutor's work. You can share whatever you like. So I'll leave a link to that in the description down below. And if you want even more tutorials from me, you can come and join me over on Patreon, where I've been posting 3 exclusive tutorials every single month to my patrons. And the catalog now sits at nearly 100 exclusive tutorials that you can get access to when you join. There's also a link to my website where you can literally view every single design that I've made in a tutorial over on Patreon before you join, so you know what you're getting into before you join. So check that out. All the links are in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching, and with all that said, let's get started. So once you've created your canvas, the first thing we want to go ahead and do is set our background color. Now, as I've probably mentioned in the intro, the palette for today's design is actually split up into 2 different sort of areas. You could do the top 2 rows here if you want to do the multicolored version. And if you want to set the background for that one, it's just black. And if you just want to do the sort of red tones, you're going to want to go ahead and set the background to this one here in the bottom left. It's got a slightly red hue to it. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and use the multicolored version. So I'm going to go up to my layers. I'm going to tap on my background color, and I'm just going to double tap at the bottom of the disc. And again, if you are using just the bottom row of sort of more red tones, you can go ahead and grab this color in the bottom left. Then we're going to want to tap away. We're going to want to go ahead and go up to our actions. We're going to want to go to the canvas tab, and we're going to want to turn on a drawing guide. We'll edit that drawing guide, and we're going to go to symmetry. Let's change the line color at the top here to something dark, light against the dark background. So we can drag it up to here and then hit done. And then you should have this line running down the middle. And if you take a look at your layer, it should now say assisted. If it doesn't, just tap on it and tap on drawing assist just to triple check. We're going to go ahead and set our color to white by double tapping in the top left of the disc. And we're going to go to our brush. We're going to set ourselves up with calligraphy and the monoline brush. And the size of the monoline brush is 27%. Now, what we're going to go ahead and do, what we draw on one side, of course, is reflected on the other. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to zoom in. So we're going to start here. We're going to draw in our first line on that center point. Now, you do want to go ahead and make sure that your lines nicely sort of match up and they're running over that symmetry line in the middle nice and tidy. And if you need to, just go up here to the option of line, and then you should be able to then edit it. So you can just grab this node here and just move it around, so just so that they nicely run into each other. So you can tap away when you're done, and you can get started then with the opposite side and going all the way around the top. So let's go ahead and undo that one. Again, you always want to kind of make sure your starting point's good, but again, you can always edit it afterwards if you want. We're going to go to there. We're going to go ahead and move across. We're going to grab this one here. We're going to drag down, and we're going to go down again. We're going to go down to the side over here. We're going to do one more. We're going to come slightly inwards on ourselves, just ever so slightly. So inwards just to around about here. And then zooming out, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go from our last one all the way to the bottom. And we're going to just link them up in the middle, and you can drag it slightly further down if you want. You can even pop your finger on the screen if you want, just to make sure it snaps to this 45-degree angle here, which I'm not against, to be honest. So I'm just going to go ahead and tap on my line here, just to triple check again that they just nicely run over the top. It's much better to fix these now rather than later on. And we'll take a look up here. This one doesn't even connect, so we'll just connect that one and then tap away when we're done. And we've got our heart outline. You can go ahead and grab your cursor at this point and just drag it down, and you'll notice in a minute I'm going to get an orange line both horizontally and vertically, which lets me know I'm perfectly in the center of my canvas. And to do that, just tap on snapping and turn on snapping here in the bottom left. So I'm going to tap on my cursor when I'm done. We're going to go ahead then and start adding in all of our triangles. So we're going to start at the bottom. First of all, we're going to zoom in down here. We're going to draw in a triangle up like so and create our first one down here. Lovely stuff. And we'll join that across. Pop your finger on the screen to make sure it's nice and horizontal. And we'll equally do the same at the top. We're going to draw in and create another triangle here. And we're going to draw across. popping our finger on the screen as well, just to make sure it's nice and horizontal. And then we're going to try and join these together before we then make our way around the outside. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to draw in another line, but I don't want it to sort of run in a continuation of these lines here. So I'm either going to have to make it a little bit narrower or a little bit wider. So I'm probably going to make it a little bit narrower on this occasion. Again, I'm going to join it across horizontally and pop my finger on the screen to make sure it's nice and straight. And then I'm just going to make a triangle by going from this point to this point. We're going to go ahead and somewhat repeat that again once more, but we're going to come down from the bottom now into kind of the middle between this line and that horizontal line. So somewhere that sits around about here. And then from there, you can go ahead and link these up. So link these up to here. And we can then, from here, now make our way around, and then this will all come together. So let's go ahead and draw in another line over here. This one's going to make its way in towards a sort of point just around about here. We'll drag down into there. And all we want to do is create triangles. So every time you see me create like a rectangle, all I'm going to do is just draw in a diagonal line that cuts through the middle of it. And then we have some triangles. Now we're going to end up creating what I call junctions. This is going to end up being a junction because it's going to end up connecting multiple lines together. So we've got one running off to here. We're going to end up creating a triangle from here to around about here. In fact, that might be a little bit low. Let's drag that into the middle a little bit more and then go from here. And then where these now connect, this is going to be another junction. So we're going to connect multiple lines to just singular points that we can then take our line work off in different directions, in different angles. And again, we're going to create loads of those little types of junctions. For example, we're going to go ahead and drag one down into roughly around about, say, here. And then from there, we're going to drag down into this corner here. And this is also going to be a junction. So we're going to connect to the outside wall here of all of our sort of iron bars. And most importantly, we're going to end up with one roughly around about here. And that's going to end up being like a really pivotal one in the center. So we can make our way towards that. I'm going to draw in another one just here. I'm then going to go ahead and sort of branch out a line to around about there, connect those together. And we're going to continue to connect junction after junction to each other. So it's just a big network almost of all of our line work. So I'm going to go from here down to around about here. I don't want to leave this triangle with too little space. So I'm going to undo that one and drag down, holding my pen down every single time to create a nice straight line. I'm going to create a triangle that comes up to here. So I'm kind of freehanding it at this point because I don't have a junction to make my way towards there. But what I can do is connect that one to there. And go ahead and connect that one to here as well. And again, if I need to, I can always tap on there at the top and just move that line into position. I can go ahead and drag out into here as well now. And again, create what is going to be another very important junction. So we're just dragging down, dragging down. Now everybody's is going to look different. So don't stress if your triangles look ever so slightly different to mine. It's really, honestly, not a big deal at all. Everybody's, again, it's going to look slightly different to each other. And you can see here we're left with one more space. Now obviously the straightforward thing to do now is just to drag a line into the center and then from there connect up all the corners here so that we have all of our triangles finished and we can then make our way into the rest of the design and all the different effects that we're going to add and all the different colors. So zooming out, you should then have this awesome, lovely little design with all your little iron bars. And if you want to, feel free to sort of break any up. You may want to maybe run a line through here, for example, and just break those up. That's more than happy to do that. You know, it fits perfectly. So once we've done that, we can then go ahead now and start to add in all our colors. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to create a new layer. I'm going to drag it underneath our line work. We're going to tap on our line work. We're going to tap on it again and use the option of reference. So if we turn that on, you'll see it now says reference. And if we tap on the layer below, what's happening now is every single time we drop some color onto the screen, it's going to look at that layer that's referenced and go, what's the line work on there and what should I fill in based on that layer? So for example, if we go to our colors, if I grab the red here in the top left of the palette, I can drag that into here. I can also tap on continue filling here. And you can see now, even though we're on a completely separate layer, it's using the line work above of our reference layer to know what to fill in and what not to fill in. So we can then change our color. We can go to say the orange here and we should be able to just tap tap, tap, and just keep filling in all of the heart. Now you want to start with your primary colors, the more saturated ones. So we've gone red, orange. Everybody's just going to look different, so don't stress as well. You can go to the purple here, the third color in that middle row. We can tap again. And the only rules I think you kind of need to abide by is just making sure that the colors don't touch the same color. So now when I switch to blue, I'm going to find some gaps here that I can drop the blue into that's not going to sort of overlap or touch another area of blue. Now my color stopped filling there, so I'll drag that in and we've done that. I'm going to go to my color. I'm going to grab yellow. I'm going to drag it into one, and then I'll go to continue filling, and we'll just tap where we want to fill it in. So let's do all of our main saturated colors first. Let's then go to the green at the top right almost of our palette, second one in from the top right. We'll drag in some green here, we'll hit continue filling, and we'll do another one. Lovely stuff. And then we're going to go ahead then and take a look. I think we're all done with our main primary colors. Now we can just get started on adding in some of the other color tones. So you can hit the tick up here on your color drop. And now we can go ahead and just grab a color, say the second color, drag that in. Try not to get it too close to a red again, just trying to like leave the gaps. Grab then a lighter tone, the third color on the top row, and drag that into some gaps again. With the lighter ones, I keep them to a sort of a minimum. You don't have to do too many of them. I'm going to skip over the red tones. I'm going to move towards these more golden orangey tones. So this one here, the top of the fifth column, drag that into some spaces. You could argue that that's too close to the orange. So I'm going to go ahead and drag that into there, and I'll drag that into there. I'm going to grab the darker green now, top right of the palette, drag that in. So again, if you're using the red tones only, you're perfectly fine to do that. Just keep doing exactly what I'm doing. We're going to grab the variation of the purple, the slightly darker one. We'll drag that into some spaces. Only twice on that occasion. I'm going to go to the lighter purple, fourth color in that middle row. Drag maybe one or two of that in, and we'll keep going. We've got a slightly darker blue. We'll drag that into some spaces. So at this point, we can all sort of create whatever we want. We don't have to sort of match up too much to each other. We've got a slightly lighter blue as well, so we'll grab that. We'll find a space for it that it can occupy. Maybe we'll drop one into there too. And then we've got these two. We've got a very light green here. We'll drag that into, we've got to find a space. Here we go. And maybe we could drop one into there too. And then we've got this slightly mustardy color, middle of the far right column there. I can drag that into a few spaces, trying to look again where it may or may not connect. It's not critical, by the way, that two colors can't touch. I just think it looks better if we space them all out ahead of time. So let's take a look. What else can we do? Let's grab the dark green here, fill in this space up here. I'm just looking for my gaps that are left now. We've got these colors here. Well, that could definitely do with more of a yellowy tone in there. So let's grab the yellow here and drag that into there. I've got these gaps here. Could probably do with a nice saturated little orange there. So we'll drag that into there too. We'll go to our next gaps there. So maybe we could go ahead and drop in maybe a pink here on the bottom row. This pink here. Drag that in. Let's drag that into a few different spaces. We can utilize the pinks as well. Let's go ahead and grab this peachy tone at the bottom of the fifth column. Drag that into some spaces. This is going to give some really nice alternative colors to this design. And then let's go ahead and grab this one. We've not used this one yet, the bottom of the fourth column. See if I can drop that in any gaps. I could probably drop it in that one, but this one here, we'll save this one and we'll drop in, let's drop in, what colors do we have nearby to it? Let's drop in a nice bright yellow, just so we can brighten up that space. And you should end up with your heart now completely filled in with all the different colors of your design. Now, what we want to do is we want to turn off our line work just to triple check that all these gaps are here. If your gaps are not there, so the dark lines in between, turn on your line work, tap on your line work, select it and make sure color fill is turned off. And then go ahead and go down to the layer of your color, tap on it and use the option of clear. And then that will make sure that that has definitely been cut from the colored layer. So let's then go ahead and start to add in some more effects. First of all, let's go to our line work and swipe it to the left and duplicate it. The bottom one out the two, we're going to tap on it and we're going to turn off the reference because we don't need that on anymore. We're also going to go ahead and tap on the layer and we're going to invert it. So we're going to tap on it and invert, and then tap on it and clipping mask it to the colored layer underneath. We're going to go ahead and change the blend mode from normal to overlay. We're going to go ahead and grab our cursor. We're going to move this down, and notice how you get this little bit of a shadow in here. The minute it's rock solid, we're going to blur it in a moment, but drag it down a little bit and you should get this dark shadow emerge on top of all of your shapes. Tap on your cursor when you're done, then go to your adjustments and go to Gaussian blur and swipe from left to right, and we just want to add in maybe something around about 5%, and then each one of them now has this drop shadow that technically matches the color that it's in. So we've got slightly darker purple there, darker green, darker yellow, and so on. Now we can go ahead and swipe that shadow to the left and duplicate it because we need some good contrast in here. So we've duplicated that now. What we can then go ahead and do is go up to your Linework, swipe that to the left and duplicate it. Tap on the top one, invert it, tap on it, clipping mask it, and then grab your cursor and then bring that down just a smidge. Now one trick you can do is when you hit your cursor straight away, so let's just undo that. We can tap on our cursor and you can go ahead and just tap just down here. Every time you tap, you're going to move it a pixel, so you can go ahead and tap. So twice, 3 times, 4 times, and each time we're just adding in a little bit of a highlight on top of some of those lines. So I've dropped it down maybe 4 times. You could even tap maybe once over here to nudge it ever so slightly to the left as well. And then tap on your cursor when you're done. Then what we're going to go ahead and do is start to work on some different textures as well to go on top, as well as different glows and whatnot. So we're going to go ahead and tap on our colored layer here for all of our colors of our heart and create a new layer. It will stack itself in between. We're going to go ahead and double tap at the bottom of our disk to select black. Now we want to grab a sort of grungy brush for this. So we can go ahead and go to our brush. We can go to textures and we can go ahead and we can use the actual grunge brush down here at the bottom with a very large brush size and a high opacity for a minute. You just want to press really lightly and just go over the top of your glass there, adding in a little bit of an aging effect to the actual glass. Now this may come across a little bit dark, so what we're going to do is we're going to tap on this layer and we're going to change it to the option of soft light. Now this is where it's really going to sort of blend into the colors that you can see there. So what you may need to go ahead and do is swipe it to the left and duplicate it just to bring out a little bit more of that texture, and you may want to go up 3 times like I've done. So I've duplicated it 3 times. You can maybe just do it the once, or you can draw on the same layer. It's totally up to you. Let's then go ahead and add in a highlight. So we're going to go ahead and create a new layer. Change the blend mode from normal, change it to add. We're going to go to our colors, double tap in the top left to select white. Go to your brush, go to airbrushing and the soft brush. And we're going to set the brush size to something nice and small, maybe around about sort of 8 to 10%. And we're going to press really lightly, try not to overdo it. And we're going to run a line straight through here. Notice like how that's like the light coming in from behind. So I want to sort of draw in a bit of a diagonal line and then another one maybe through there too. So you can go ahead and, for example, grab your cursor. You can move that around. It's totally up to you. You could even animate it if you really wanted to. Some light rays going across. It's totally up to you. And you could even blur them as well if you want as well. So just take a look where it fits most. I think as a sort of little bit of a sort of tip, you want to try and look for your lighter tones. Like here, for example, this one's really gone and got quite blown out. So maybe I could rotate that a little bit and just move it up here and then take a look at where the highlight runs through and just make sure that they're not too blown out by the highlight. So tapping on my cursor when I'm done. Let's then go ahead and also add in some diffused light to the bars at the top to show that light coming through. So what we'll do is we'll go down to our colored layer of our heart and swipe it to the left and duplicate it. We'll grab the bottom one, drag it all the way to the very top, and it will clip itself to the line work. All we want to do is go to our adjustments and go to Gaussian blur. And if you swipe from left to right, you'll be able to blur out those shapes and then they'll be revealed on top of the bars. So you can pick whatever type of soft, dehazed lighting you think looks best. I think something that's not too intense. If we go all the way to the top, it starts to lose all of its color completely. And if we go really, really small, you end up with just a tiny little glow around them. So let's just try and find a nice balance around about sort of the 10 to 15% mark, something in that range. And tap on your adjustments when you're done. And now we should have this awesome set of lighting almost coming through. Let's then go ahead and add in one more effect to finish this off. Let's go ahead and go to our layer down here that's got our color on and swipe it to the left once more and duplicate it. The bottom one out the 2. We're going to go ahead and go to our adjustments. We're going to go to the option of perspective blur, and you can either leave it in the middle and sort of shine it all outwards. Notice how like around the edge here, the lighting's starting to get pushed out in the direction from this spot, or you can drag this up to the top a little bit So maybe up to around about, say, this point here. Wherever you drop the point is where you need to remember, because you're going to keep dropping it there in a moment. So you could drop it down to around about, say, here in your line. Use that symmetry line as a guide, and that way you'll get a little bit of lighting also coming off of the top. I've swiped from left to right, gone up to 100%, and we're going to go back. We're going to tap on our adjustments. We're going to go again to perspective blur, drag it to the same sort of spot, and again from left to right, push them even further, 100% again. And we're going to have to redo this a few times until we get some really nice beams. So again, into the point, swipe from left to right, keep pushing these lines outwards, and we're going to redo it a couple more times until I've got a beam that I like the look of, that's, you know, nicely stretching and showing that glow as well from our little stained glass heart there. So I'm going to keep doing this until we've got those lovely long beams. They're slowly but surely getting a little bit more blurred and pushed out every single time. So I'm probably up to around about 7 or 8 times now, I would imagine, but I just want to keep stretching them out. There's probably alternative methods that you could use, such as maybe blurring it first, but what I've done here on purpose is, by doing it over and over, we're keeping the gaps in between. See how there's dark lines in between where the metal of the window is? That way we then end up still with those areas not showing as a glow. If we blurred it out first, we'd maybe lose those sharp lines. So I've probably done that around about 10 times, but I'm really happy now with the glow. It's pushing outwards from the sides. So if I go ahead, I've turned off my drawing guide, I pinch with 2 fingers, and we go full screen with 4, we end up with today's finished design. So I hope you enjoyed this stained glass heart design. As always, make sure to tag me in your finished creations over on Instagram. Come and join my Discord. It's completely free to join. We've got a wonderful community that are sharing their work daily in the community area. As always, subscribe for weekly Procreate content. Drop a like while you're down there as well. And if you want to go ahead and support the channel and the work that I do here, you can come and join me over on Patreon, where I post 3 exclusive tutorials every single month to my Patreon supporters. The catalogue sits at nearly 100 at the time of recording, which you can get access to when you join my Patreon. You can have your name featured in videos, sneak peeks, early access, and much, much more. So hit the link in the description down below. And if you liked this somewhat Valentine's Day themed design, you may like this one on the screen now. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one.